Hi, I'm Michael Ptacin, Black Swamp concert artist. Here I am at the front of stage for Uptown Players' production of Howard Crabtree's When Pigs Fly. Originally written in mid-90s, ran off Broadway in like 95 or 96, somewhere around there. It was set for a revival in 2017, ended up getting canceled, but the show was updated, some of the songs were changed for that, and the second production featured some great costumes by Bob Mackie, which we have and are using for this production as well. So normally when I play here at the Cleta Humphreys, I'm set up back here in this area they call the mouse hole, which is because of the doorway that we're about to walk through. But for this production, they have us up at the front of the stage. And the reason it's called the mouse hole is because the opening is shaped like a mouse hole. So I go through this velvet curtainy area, and this takes you to the front stage right area where I'm located. Pretty standard drum setup for this show. 2 rag toms, floor tom, crash ride, have a splash cymbal, lots of very silly stuff and vaudevillian type things, so lots of splashes go out through that. I have 3 Black Swamp temple blocks over here on a rec plate. I have 2 triangles, 4-inch and a 6-inch steel triangle, both on DeSanza triangle triggers that I use in different parts of the show. Also have a vibra slap mounted over here to my right, along with a bell tree underneath my ride and a mark tree over here as well. Directly in front of me, I have woodblock mounted with the woodblock mount and a low cowbell over here as well. Temple blocks are used several times in this show. Probably the most exposed moment is the start of the song called Wear Your Vanity with Pride, where the actors are all in very elaborate costumes, kind of a Baroque feel to them, but very shiny lame. And some of them are getting dressed and putting on makeup, and they're sitting at these vanity tables, and then eventually the vanities turn into their costumes as part of their dress. But during the start of that, I'm playing temple blocks over here on the left and triangle over in front of me. So the intro has both going on. Right. So it's just nice having them both easily accessible to my setup. They stay very close in. Everything has to be obviously within a very small reach, so I don't have to move around very much while I'm playing and search for things. Besides some of the more standard sounds in the show, I also have a lot of sound effects. We have a slide whistle up, that happens. Nightingale bird whistle that goes on at the start of one song. And also I have a siren that goes throughout the show a few times. I have 2 that I use, one like this, and then another with the horn attachment on it, the bell. I don't use that one in this show just because it's so focused and so much louder. I like the pitch of the siren better with that. It's very high, it's nice, but it's a little too loud for the space, so I use the one that's a little bit lower pitched and doesn't get quite as bright and piercing through that. Something you do have to be careful of when you're using siren whistles is sometimes they have a habit of getting stuck, and then when you go to blow, you just get and you don't actually get any sound out. It's funny why it doesn't go right, but in those moments where you really need it and it's not there, it's not quite as great. So what I tend to do is I have to hold this in my mouth for a very long time before I actually get to it, because I'm playing, I don't have time to get it in and prepare. So I have to keep it in throughout the song in my teeth. So usually what I do is I find myself putting slow breath through it while I'm playing, which is a little challenge because you're playing something faster, more upbeat, and you're just trying to do slow exhales. Just enough to get the siren to start spinning, but not enough to really be loud enough to get picked up by the microphones for the audience to hear it. That way it's rotating, and when I finally do get to that time, all I have to do is suddenly increase my speed, and then I get the sound that I want from it. Again, temple blocks are over here to my left. Keep the sound effects down here, the different whistles, except for the siren, which I just keep around my neck. So I move over, you can see that the wood block and cowbell are pretty easy to get to from the snare because that's where they're used mostly. Have the first triangle directly in front of me because that's the one that I use the most through the show. And then again over here I have the secondary triangle, mark tree, vibra slap, and the bell tree down here that I can get to. All right, well, thank you for joining me and letting me show you around my setup a little bit. Thanks for Thanks for joining me and letting me show you around my setup here at When Pigs Fly. Thanks for joining me and